Namaskar and welcome to Sansad Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show Perspective, where we bring you detailed analysis of key national and international issues. Today we're going to talk about the fake job records abroad, wherein the Indian nationals are being trapped. In fact, India on Saturday advised its citizens looking for jobs abroad to verify the credentials of foreign employers and antecedents of recruiting agencies in view of many Indians being lured to Myanmar as part of a scam. The advisory comes days after reports of 60 Indian nationals being duped by international racket that promises jobs in Thailand only to illegally send unsuspecting candidates to Myanmar. Now, Ministry of External Affairs also highlighted in its advisory that the target groups for these fake job rackets are IT-skilled youth in India who have been duped in the name of lucrative data entry jobs in Thailand through social media advertisements, as well as by Dubai and India-based recruiting agents. So what exactly is this racket and how this is creating troubles for several Indian nationals? What is being done by the government and what needs to be done by the citizens as well? For more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of experts. Let me first introduce them to you. Beginning with, we have with us former Ambassador Yogesh Gupta, who's joining us. We're also joined by Mr. Subhash Goyal. He is the president of Confederation of Tourism Professionals, and Mr. Shankar Aggarwal, former secretary in the Ministry of Labour and Employment, is also joining us. Welcome, all of you gentlemen. I'll begin with you, Ambassador Gupta, and let's start by understanding as to how these rackets operate actually, what happens in those parts of the world, and why is it that Indian youths are gullible?
Well, this is a very old problem, and this has been there for a very long time. I have heard about it in case of ASEAN countries such as Thailand and Myanmar recently, but it has happened in other countries of Gulf, countries of Europe, and so on. And there are a group of these agents who are sort of working, and they are making use of the social media. On the social media, the problem is that the real identity can sometimes be hidden or it can be obscured. And then people are easily sort of attracted to, attractive offers on the social media, and then they get trapped into the network of these agents. They promise them one thing, but in reality, when these people sort of take up their offers, they find that the reality is something very different. And in this case, our students are these candidates are being forced to sort of go and take jobs such as Bitcoin operators or in other fields of cyber working, and then they are being pressurized to sort of exceed or comply with the impossible targets. They are being made to work in inhuman conditions and so on. So this is something that we have to deal with very firmly. Ministry of External Affairs have come up with this advisory.
Okay.
We have to do more publicity at home. We have to educate and guide our youth that they should be very careful while taking up some jobs. They should make their own checks. They should check with our embassies and high commissions abroad. They can write to the Ministry of External Affairs if necessary. They can make their own checks. So caution is advised on everybody's part.
Okay. Okay, indeed, caution is the key word here, and that advisory, of course, details a lot of steps to be taken. We'll come to that part as well as to, the mechanism which is in place as well. But Mr. Goyal, I'd like to bring you in here since, you interact with and also are a part of the community which, works overseas or facilitates as well. How often do you come across, such scams or such issues wherein youngsters or professionals have been duped with fake job rackets? And is it specific to, certain countries in certain parts of the world only?
No, I think there are groups, I would call them gangs, which are operating. And not only now, there are people who are, via Thailand who are stuck in Myanmar. and the Indian embassy is trying its best with the help of the Thai government, and they stay probably in border areas. Now, apart from that, there are a lot of people who are, taking people to South America and then trying to smuggle them to Russia. A lot of this is happening, and a lot of fake, not only jobs but also fake, sort of visas and fake, hopes are given to innocent people. So best is like earlier in the Middle East also, we had the Ministry of Labor and Employment, and you had to get a clearance, particularly for those who are not educated. But now this is happening to highly educated people who are in IT. Now that's a serious concern, and I think we need to advertise this very effectively, and I think your channel, by taking up this issue, is doing a very good job.
Okay.
Because we need to sensitize the people and also the IT people that you must, not only go on the website, but also you should double check with your friends or with the Indian High Commission or with various universities on
Okay.
what the situation is. And you have to be vigilant, because if you're not vigilant, you're definitely going to fall into a trap.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people operating various scams, and I think this is a very big scam which
Indeed.
has come to light, and we need to be careful about it.
Indeed, indeed.
And we, through our association and through the professionals, we do advise people that to double check everything before you advise people. And secondly, also I would suggest that nowadays, because visas are taking a lot of time, I will advise people not to buy their tickets unless their visas and their documents are in order, then only buy the tickets.
Okay.
So you need to be careful, double check everything, and eternal vigilance is the price of freedom.
Indeed, indeed, being vigilant, staying vigilant, cautious approach there, and sensitization is another aspect of it. Mr. Shankar Aggarwal, I'd like to bring you in here. As far as I'm aware, there is a specific mechanism which is in place under the Ministry of Labor and Employment as well to sensitize, those citizens who wish to go abroad and work there, the kind of job offers they get. One, if you could take us through that particular process, and also what is the mechanism?
You see, that mechanism of Ministry of Labor and Employment is meant primarily for those who are not so well educated. But as the case under consideration is, this belongs to that sector of the society which is fairly educated, and they belong to primarily IT sector. It is expected that those who are from the IT sector are well aware of the pitfalls of such promises. However, what happened is a question of demand and supply. In India, there is lack of employment opportunities. And if somebody comes across a site or an advertisement which asks applicants to apply for a job in a foreign nation, people get attracted. And that's quite not natural. The only thing is that they do not get into this kind of a trap. So they had to look, as the earlier speaker has said, they had to look into the website, they had to check the credentials, they had to do the due diligence. However, one more thing one must look into is that today India is supposed to be the world leader in the area of information technology. A lot of people are attracting guys from India so that they will have better credibility. However, many of such organizations are dubious organizations, and they attract Indian students through all kinds of mechanics. And in this case, they were being smuggled into a country through a third country. So that is extremely sad part of the total story. However, I would like to say that we must make people aware through advertisement, through newspapers, through social media, through electronic media. And I don't think that is going to sustain for long. After some time, people realize that this is a trap. As you say, that many people They try to go abroad to Europe, to America, to Canada through questionable means, and they get trapped. Many of them get even killed while crossing a river or crossing a bay or a sea. So we have to make them aware. However, as far as the Ministry of Employment, Labor and Employment is concerned, it is meant primarily for those who are from the labor class.
Okay, okay, fair enough. That segment also needs to be, given a bit of a hand-holding there. But here we're talking about, as Mr. Aggarwal rightly pointed out, well-educated segment of the Indian, youth, that is those who are skilled in information technology, and that seems to be the target group for these, gangs or fake job racket scamsters as well. Mr. I'd like to bring you in here because you've been as India's representative to other countries, and you're earlier talking about that. This is not a new issue. This problem has existed for long, but in a different form earlier as well. Now, if you could tell our viewers, those who are watching this show, as to what are the options or what are the processes they have, or the help they have at hand if they're stuck somewhere. For example, if they've fallen prey to such job racket, and they only realize this when they land in a foreign country, in a foreign land.
I think the best option for such people will be to contact the Indian High Commission or the Indian Embassy over there, or to contact Indian associations or some prominent Indians over there, some group of, some Indians in nearby areas who can sort of convey their predicament to our High Commission or embassies and provide as much information as possible. Another thing that we always advocate or suggest to our compatriots going abroad is that they must, as a matter of routine, register themselves with the concerned Indian High Commission or the embassy whenever they are stepping outside India. That they are going for such and such job, and this will be their contact number, this will be their email and address, and so on, and telephone numbers and so on, so that the embassies, high commissions can contact them, or if possible, send mails or send. These days, the Twitter and other social media accounts are very active. They can put their information, if possible, care of Ministry of External Affairs or care of one of our High Commission or embassies. The moment these things come to our notice, we are duty bound to immediately get active and help our nationals as much as we can. And in recent days, particularly, I must say that our response has been quite active. And our ministry and our high commissions and embassies have done their best to get such people out of difficult situations as much as or as early as they can, given the local constraints and local difficulties. And but they do their best.
Okay, and what kind of help or what kind of mechanism is followed by the embassies abroad in terms of for example, if a person is the victim, what kind of help can they expect from the Indian embassy when they approach them in such situations?
Well, the embassies, will try to find some ways to get these people out of, if for instance their payments are stopped, then they can approach the local governments, if possible, to get their payments made. If they don't have travel documents, then we will provide them travel documents. If they don't have any money, and we will urge some Indian associations or groups, and sometimes the embassies do it themselves, to provide them food and other help. We can intervene to get them, tickets, return tickets in difficult situations to return to India, in certain cases. So everything can be done, provided that they approach us well enough on time, provided that the local country, the situation in the local country is relatively easy to deal with. So it depends a lot on what their situation is in a particular country.
Okay. Mr. Goyal, you earlier spoke about, the processes involved, and you advise professionals as well, your organization, as to what should be done, what should not be done. So if you could take us through, the do's and don'ts and the checklist as well, from the moment a professional or somebody who is seeking a job gets an offer. Mr. Goyal? Mr. Subhash Goyal, can you hear me? No, Mr. Subhash Goyal.
Yeah,
Can
okay.
you, yes.
I thought you were asking me.
No,
a
question
message.
is to you, sir.
Okay. So, the moment you get an offer, first thing you need to do is you need to, as rightly mentioned, you need to contact, send a message to the Indian High Commission to the country where you're going. Now, if you're going to Thailand, you have to inform and you have to tell them that this is the organization that is taking you there. Secondly, we as tour operators or travel agents, what we do is we see if he's going on a tourist visa, then he has to have a return ticket. Otherwise, even the immigration stops them. So if someone is promising you an employment, you must ensure that you get an employment visa. If you get a proper employment visa from the country where you are getting employed, that means they have done the paperwork. So that is one check which any candidate should do. And thirdly, we must involve Interpol here, and we must also see that because there are some select gangs that operate, and in particular areas in Africa there are one or two gangs which are operating in Southeast Asia. There are some gangs operating, so they must be on the watch list, and we must involve the cybercrime people, because these are sophisticated crimes which are done on the net. They make a fake sort of website and they lure people. So I think some sort of cyber check or investigation and cyber check is needed. But as I mentioned earlier, you have to be cautious. And the more publicity we give, I think, like the Reserve Bank is now giving, a lot of publicity on television that, Hushar raho, Savdhan raho, on all these various scams that are operating, on the net. So similarly, this is a job racket which is operating, and the Ministry of External Affairs or Labor and Employment, or we need to caution people so that they don't fall trap into this.
Okay.
So this is my take. Rest,
Okay.
many situations are different, but in general we can avoid this scam from further escalating.
Okay, okay. Mr. Aggarwal, as you were also earlier pointing out, and both Mr. Gupta and Mr. Goyal are also referring to, that sensitization is one of the key components of the entire approach to tackling this particular issue. And that would mean a lot of awareness programs as well. So what kind of activities are conducted by various ministries, including the Ministry of Labor and Employment, in terms of the awareness campaign for those who are going abroad? And also, in addition to that, in your views, what is it that can be done, to ensure that youngsters do not fall prey to such scams or such rackets?
You see, to create awareness, it should not be confined to the government only, or to a particular ministry or a department. The first and the foremost is to do the due diligence. Whosoever is applying for this kind of a job, they must look into the credentials of the organization which is inviting. Once you have done that, more than 60-70% work has already been done. What happens that in the greed of getting a job abroad, we overlook many of these things, number one. Number two, many of these people, applicants, who are applying for these jobs, they are though from IT sector, but they are from smaller town, Mufassil town, and they may not be aware of the pitfalls in these kinds of things. So as a conscientious civil society, as the responsible government, we must make people aware that there may be few agencies like this who are luring our young boys and girls to very difficult area in the name of giving employment opportunities abroad. We must also do due diligence in the sense that maybe the Ministry of IT can look into all these possible websites and regularly or maybe at a regular interval, they must try to find out which such organizations are inviting application for employment opportunity. And that shouldn't be very difficult. Today, there are a large number of software which take help of artificial intelligence and they can cull out all such sites which are luring people for giving employment and which are not having good credentials. The moment we do that, I think that this problem can be tackled. It's not a very big issue, though, because they were little not careful, not vigilant. They got stuck in countries like Myanmar. And as you know, and everybody knows, that some countries are difficult countries, and we find it very difficult, even for our missions abroad, to find out a respectable and a meaningful and expeditious solution to such problem. So I would only say that people should be aware of the pitfalls and all possible work should be done by the concerned ministry as well as the civil society. That is very important.
Indeed, all stakeholders will have to work together. There are quick concluding comments from you, Mr. Gupta, on what more can be done and needs to be done.
I think the issue of sensitization is extremely important because I get a sense that we haven't done enough publicity, particularly in regard to such gangs operating in neighboring countries such as Thailand and Myanmar. At least I haven't seen much in recent years. So I think there is certainly a need for much greater publicity by various stakeholders who are involved in this process. I think that is a very, very critical step. And secondly, I think it is, again, we have to sort of convey to our people through advisories or through, in some manner at the airport that, look, whenever you go abroad for such, particularly when you're going first time for such jobs, first thing you must do is to register with the Indian High Commission or with the Indian Embassy abroad. So we have to find some mechanisms to tell them that this is something that is that will be in their interest, And if the High Commission or the embassies know where they are going to live and so on, then it becomes that much easier to contact them and so on. And then, of course, as other colleagues have said before, they have to do various checks themselves, that these organizations are genuine, they are not fake, and so on. So I think as a whole government effort or as a whole country effort, all stakeholders have to join hands and have to put much more efforts to sort of sensitize such people and inform them what needs to be done.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, Mr. Goyal, as well as Mr. Shankar Aggarwal for sharing your views and insight with us and our viewers on this topic. As our experts were pointing out, clearly there is a lot of, sensitization that is being aware about where you're going for a particular job offer is required. Also, due diligence needs to be done carefully. And of course, it's just not the government departments who are responsible for this. Every individual who is wishing or willing to go abroad for any employment needs to be very diligent about various checks needs to be done. And civil society also needs to remain vigilant about these aspects. We'll come back again on Monday with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Sansad Television. Thank you.